All right, it's been a little while since I talked to you guys. Hope everybody had a great Christmas, a great New Year's, but we got some business to attend to. There have been some things that we have not addressed over the couple of weeks that we've taken off from the channel, and we want to catch up with the portal stuff. And of course, that is highlighted by Noah Thomas, unfortunately, entering the portal a couple days after A&M's bowl game, lost to USC, and has since committed to UGA. Yeah, guys, it sucks to lose Noah Thomas. It was your experience coming back to the room. It represented size that the room currently doesn't have, even with the transfer portal haul that you're very, very happy with Casey, Craver, and Hudson. You feel so good about that haul. Just getting some of the best available at the position with tremendous explosiveness and upside and big playability and speed. But you don't have size. And you don't have experience in the system outside of Bussy and a couple of young guys who haven't really played down to down. So you kind of lose that corporate knowledge, which sucks, and you lose the size, which sucks. And of course, we never really saw Noah Thomas break out, but you'd be pretty hard-pressed to deny that there was a little bit of chemistry forming with Marcel Reed late in the year. You saw some good stuff versus Auburn. You saw some good stuff in the bowl game. You saw the big drop, but you also saw him reel in a couple of touchdown catches. But I thought the most significant thing we saw in that game was an extreme effort to target Noah Thomas in the red zone. I know there were 3 targets for potential touchdowns. 2 were caught. 1 was the INT off the drop. But there were maybe 2 or 3 other red zone fades thrown Noah Thomas's way. There was an effort to get him involved, and that would have been the case next year. And there was a chance he would have had even more one-on-one opportunities or isolated opportunities with the talent that would have been around him next year. So, from that perspective, it sucks to lose a guy like that. Maybe he wasn't your wide receiver 1. Maybe he wasn't your receiver, your yards leader at receiver. Maybe he wasn't your touchdowns leader at receiver. But he was surely a red zone threat and would have been that much better around the players you have coming in. So, yeah, it doesn't feel good to lose Noah Thomas. It never feels good to lose a senior. It never feels good to lose a starter caliber player. But Noah Thomas, this has been told, it's been told that this was not a money move. It's been told that this was a move for Noah to get into a different situation, have a change of scenery. With Noah, obviously, it was a 3-star talent coming in. Never, wasn't a 5-star, wasn't a 4-star guy. He was a upper 3-star talent coming in. Didn't play much his freshman year, but then that spring is when he broke out, and we heard insiders speak the world of him, say maybe he was the best player on the team that spring, at least offensively. And then we never really saw it on the field materialize, and we thought that was there, though. We thought there was an in-season, non-camp breakout in the chamber for Noah. And maybe he finds that at UGA, and they don't have much of a better receiver situation than A&M did even last year. Now, they get the Branch brothers now, but not a great receiver room. Maybe he's at the top of that room. Maybe he's top 2 in that room, too. It doesn't seem like a big jump in terms of just scheme or opportunity. It seems like he wants to go to a proven, perennial, annual playoff contender and showcase his talent there, which if that's your angle and you want to guarantee or at least get as close to guaranteeing your chances of playing the SEC title game, making the college football playoff, winning a round or 2 in there, yeah, go to Georgia. Not to mention, and I don't know if I haven't mentioned this yet, James Coley, the previous receiver coach at A&M under Jimbo, the one that recruited him, the one he had a relationship with for 2 years, he's at UGA, and that was no small factor in this ordeal. So he's gone. How does it leave the receiver room? Well, you obviously add the 3 guys we just mentioned. They'll be huge. And you have to imagine that you'd want to keep Terry Bussey on that side of the field now that you lost a lot of experience in him and the other guys you lost in the receiver room. And that's only 4 guys. So is there room to add one more guy with experience to this room? I would guess so, but it's slim pickings in the portal right now thanks to the timeline in which Noah Thomas made this departure. At least he stuck through the bowl game. You have to at least tip your hat to that. But that does put A&M in a position to where you didn't know what you were working with until a lot of this portal stuff had already been completed. So, slim pickings now. You're going to have to wait for that spring window. You're going to have to wait for players on playoff teams to enter the portal, which could happen. And if you don't, well, even if you do, you're going to need someone to step up. And this is college football. This is a statement that you could say about any room pretty much any given year. Someone needs to step up. Hopefully someone steps up. Yeah. But the guys that come back, Ernest Campbell, Isaiah Williams, Ashton Bethel-Roman, one of those guys are going to have a chance to crack this rotation, I would guess, or maybe a freshman. But I would say that more than likely someone with experience probably needs to set the tone in that room and he'll have a chance to play. And we saw Ashton Bethel-Roman get reps a couple times in the season. We saw Isaiah Williams get reps in the bowl game. I don't think either were targeted in the bowl game. But these are guys on the cusp. Ernest Campbell, speed demon, but just undersized. Can he put on the pre-required weight to play this offseason, throughout this last season? Where is he at? I would guess one of those three guys has a really, really big opportunity in this receiver room. But enough about the receiver room. I feel like I've been talking just straight receiver, A&M receiver room this whole portal cycle. It's been such a big deal. Obviously, the defense needed some work too, and all of the latest additions in the portal circle around the defensive side of the football. So guys, again, thank you for being here. I know we took some time off. Let's play some catch up on some names. Like and sub if you haven't. I took the break. I usually take a break around New Year's, Christmas. I did that, went on a trip. It was great. We're back. We're going to keep putting shows out. I'll be going live for the A&M versus Oklahoma basketball game. If you're watching this Tuesday, tonight, 8 p.m., I'll probably get on 15, 20 minutes before the game starts. Just kind of preview the game, look at the team, talk some basketball, jump on for that. We have a lot of fun in the watch parties. The chat goes crazy. Probably OU fans will sprinkle in there. It could be a shit show. So make sure you guys get in there and chop it up. And then I'll go live for the Thursday playoff game, the one between Notre Dame and Penn State. I will not be available for Friday for the Texas versus Ohio State game, unfortunately. But I'll be here for 2 in a row, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Be there, be here. All right, let's catch up. I think the most recent additions were Jordan Shaw out of Washington, the nickel, and Tyler Onyedim. That's the name I'm going with for now until I hear it said correctly, probably by him, or look at some manual on how to say names. We're going with Onyedim for now. D-tackle / D-end out of Iowa State. Let's start with the DB because the DB room is a topic of discussion coming out of the USC game. And have the best discussion. But I think a player like Jordan Shaw is, a word we use a lot with some of these additions in the portal that maybe aren't trending to be starters, but could be a floor raiser. He's another Cali kid, transferred from Washington after redshirting at Indiana, 3 years of eligibility left, with a good amount of college experience for a young guy. Productive season starting in 8 games at Washington, 37 tackles, 6 PBUs. And it sounds like tackling is his best attribute as a young DB. I think he's 6'1", 180 pounds. It ranges between 175 and 180, wherever you're looking. Let's just say 180 by the start of the season, probably. Good size. Definitely sounds like a nickel build, especially with his best attribute being tackling. Not bad in coverage. Keep in mind, we're talking about a redshirt freshman year, but let's kind of put it into context, at least compare it to some of the players on A&M's roster this last season in terms of just some stats and some PFF grades, because I think we're really intrigued by the DB room where you bring a lot of players back, but you have a lot of question marks. So yeah, let's compare him to some of the guys we have around. So he was a 69 graded coverage player by PFF. He held his assignments to a 61% catch rate when targeted. For reference, Will Lee graded 72 on coverage compared to Shaw's 69, and 47.2% catch rate when targeted, which is really, really good compared to 61% by Shaw. So obviously not quite Will Lee. But compare that to Jaden Hill, who was your starter nickel for half the year, graded 56 on coverage and allowed a 74% catch rate. So this is a big upgrade over your initial starter. Now, I will say BJ Mays rated a little bit better than Shaw did in these attributes, but I thought BJ Mays was one of the better DBs of the season. I thought BJ Mays was absolutely rock solid from the second he took over in that LSU game or whenever he took over. I thought he was a godsend for the team, and I wish we had him back another year. But you kind of project this going forward. I think this guy can serve as Tyreek Chappelle's backup. I do think Chappelle's coming back next year, and he should slot into the starter at nickel as long as he's back from the injury. But if he's not, Shaw could start at nickel or at least compete with Bravion Rogers. And now Bravion Rogers is a wild card, hasn't played enough to really get a full gauge on him. But Shaw could be really good in this role for A&M, where he was really good as a redshirt freshman. Because of where he really shone last year, which was in tackling, he graded 75.6% or 75.6 at tackling, which would be a team high at A&M amongst our rotational DBs. And a stellar 9% missed tackle rate, which would have also been a team high on A&M. Will Lee was leading the current roster at a 10.6 missed tackle rate. Shaw was at 9%. So a very solid, sure tackler, and you know a nickel's going to play in the box and be asked to handle a lot of run assignments, tackle running backs at times, tackle tight ends at times. Got to get physical, and this guy tackles really well, and that's his best attribute at 6'1", 175, 180 pounds. So at worst, going to compete for that backup role behind Tyreek Chappelle, but if for some reason Chappelle's not ready to go, or they make the decision to move Chappelle around, which I don't think they would do because Chappelle looked really good in his nickel role a couple of games he played this year and through camp. I think at worst, this is a very high-quality backup rotational piece for this defense. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman last year. Everything we're talking about was a redshirt freshman season. So a lot of upside there as well. So with 3 years left ahead, reason to believe that the best is to come for a guy like this in a room that really needs some floor raisers. Great grab. Great grab. This is a really, really good piece to get to the room, and maybe you can look at him as a versatile piece. Maybe he can push the safety room. I don't know his history through high school where he's played before. I know he was nickel at Washington and played a lot in that box. Being a nickel player, it's what you do. So, happy with the addition. And I'm going to go with another guy that we're very happy about. The two latest guys were great. Tyler Onyedim out of Iowa State. Another just exactly what the doctor ordered for this defense. Now, we're not going to hype these guys up to say they're the saviors of the team or anything like that. But in terms of just filling needed roles on the team, you got the DB that can do a lot, and you get this D tackle that can play in a couple of areas where you really, really need a D tackle. And that's the 3 tech. This is a kind of a, not the bulk of a nose, not the lengthy, not the, what's the word, not the quickness or shiftiness of a true defensive end, but a guy that can kind of shift between that 3 tech and strong side defensive end, just be a really versatile player. He's about 6'4", 295. He carries it really well. A lot of versatility here, and it's versatility between two position groups that A&M really, really needed, and that was strong side defensive end and defensive tackle. So you can play him at either spot. He played a lot of defensive end at Iowa State. He looks like a true defensive tackle, kind of similar to that Shamar Turner frame. Yeah, similar size to Shamar Turner, but he can play either spot. And if you have to put him at strong side defensive end, you need a bigger look there. Well, this is the kind of guy that can do it. Really, really big grab. He's coming off of 70 tackles between his last 2 seasons at Iowa State. 2 sacks, not a big sack guy, but a pretty solid run defense player at 69.5 grade by PFF. For reference, Shamar Turner graded 65.5 here, and Nick Scorton graded 74.6. So smack in between if we're using the grades as a measurement. I know those are hit or miss, but just to give a reference point, the grade is smack in between Scorton and Turner from last year here at A&M. Just a great piece. Just what the doctor ordered. Fills in 2 slots you need. A lot of experience. 1 year of eligibility left. Upperclassman. A guy that will play a lot. And hell, maybe he starts at strong side defensive end. Although he looks like more of a natural 3 tech. I would be surprised if he doesn't get some looks at strong side defensive end because it's such a need for the team. But so is backup defensive tackle. So you could see this guy all over the place. Just more reason to believe that this was a great addition for Texas A&M. And this guy still has a lot of upside. This guy's a really, really promising young player. So we have TJ Searcy, Sam Apemba, and Dayan Hayes, 3 guys I haven't talked about just yet. Let's start with Dayan Hayes because I think we added him quite a while ago, and I didn't look into him. I haven't really done my research on him until now making this video. And dude, this guy had himself a career. 3 years of experience at Pitt before his lone year at Colorado. He had 35 tackles and 4 sacks his last year at Pitt. Started hot at Colorado this last season. Within 3 games, 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, only to get injured for season in Game 4. Knee injury. So a lot of what this guy's going to be is riding on his recovery, I would think. Got the medical last year. I mean, he technically could redshirt again if he had to, I would think. But the size is 6'3", 265. A guy that could play some strong side for you with that kind of lower, squattier build for defensive end at 265. Maybe he can help you in run support. But this is a very, very productive player for 3 years of college and the start of his 4th year. And the only thing holding him back, like I said, is an injury recovery. So I really want us to bookmark Dayan Hayes. If he can find a way back, if he can find a way back to form, I think this could be an impact player. I mean, just a lot of productivity. And we talked about kind of the target for this D-line. I don't think you needed to find superstars, and I don't think Dayan Hayes is a superstar or anything like that. I don't think Onyedim is a superstar. We kind of, to put it into measurable terms, I guess, to compare it, I wanted to add some Rodas Johnson caliber players. I thought Rodas Johnson was just a very serviceable rotational player. Doesn't mess it up for you, but does have positive play upside as well. And we saw that from Rodas this year. And what he was a very experienced player from a Power 5 school. And that's exactly what Hayes and Onyedim are, and maybe even better than Rodas Johnson in their individual roles. They're different players than Rodas, but that caliber of guy, and you got two of them right where you need them, I would argue. Now, TJ Searcy, Sam Apemba, those are two guys I haven't gone through yet. TJ Searcy, young, athletic specimen, big boy, 6'5", 255. He was a freshman All-SEC player in 2023, and he really came on strong at the end of this most recent season with Florida having his best games to close out the year. He returns to his former coach in Sean Spencer. I mean, this is a guy that's going to play a lot for A&M, and this is an edge rush room that already has Cassius Howell and Rylan Kennedy. This team is really high on Rylan Kennedy. Cassius Howell is going to be maybe a star for your team this year. I would think that's a breakout player. They're going to find a way to play TJ Searcy, whether that's on the strong side or rotating that weak side quite a bit. He's going to play because he has to play because he has all the talent in the world. So it's a really, really big ready-now grab. I would think he's more of a surefire, immediate impact guy than Dayan Hayes. But Dayan Hayes has that upside as well, just that injury thing. And then Santa Pemba is going to be more of the project-style piece, I would think. Played in 10 games as a freshman, but redshirted in this season after 4 games with UGA. Like I said, I think more of a project with the pieces you have ahead of him. I think a guy that can maybe find himself a role. But he was a former top 50 player coming out of high school. So another really nice piece to add to the room. And I think he kind of rounds out the floor of that defensive end room. But you've really taken full care of edge. You've done some work at defensive tackle. I think some of these guys like Searcy and Hayes and even Onyedim can play some strong side defensive end depending on the look. I think Onyedim can play on your first downs, on your clear running scenario plays. Your short yardage stuff can definitely be a defensive end for you there. And then I think Searcy and Dayan Hayes can definitely play strong side on passing downs or situational times of the game. These guys are versatile. These are some big guys. These aren't like the 240-pounders we currently have in Kennedy and Howell. These guys have a little bit more bulk to them, and who knows, maybe Kennedy and Howell add some weight too, and they can be a little bit more versatile. But I think you touched on all your needs here, and I think the most critical piece here was Onyedim because he can do a lot for you. He's going to play a lot of football for A&M this coming year, his last year of eligibility. So let's take one last look at this fall window portal workload. See how they did. All right. As you can see, there's Jordan Shaw, there's Onyedim, Searcy, and Pemba, and you added the tight ends in Borkircher and Micah Riley as well. These are guys that are strong blocking options at tight end. I think both have some catching upside. You also have Coyote Armstrong coming back. And just a quick note on Coyote, the freshman 4-star prized possession of a tight end you have coming out of high school as a true freshman next year. He's up to 270, around 270, according to a recent report. I mean, he already has the red zone, contested catch, jump ball upside. That's kind of what makes his high school tape so great. He's added 20 pounds since his high school measurement. If that equates to college-level blocking, just adding weight, he looks great at that size if that's truly his weight. I mean, how are you going to keep this guy off the field early? Just speaking to this tight end room, by the way. Your work could be done at tight end. They could add one more after losing Donovan Green. Who knows what they do there? But if they do nothing else, I think you're okay to go. But keep an eye on that for the spring window. Obviously, add Julian Humphrey to go along with who we just mentioned in Jordan Shaw. That's 2 DBs. I think we talked about adding 2 DBs. That's exactly what they did. Again, I'll reiterate, I still think there's a lot of gas in the DB room you bring back. I think having a year or two in the Mike Elko system will add a lot to this team. I think getting Will Lee back and Tyreek Chappelle back will be a game changer for this defense. I think Des Ricks, we shouldn't give up on him. That's a super young player with NFL measurables. Let's see what he can mold himself into. I still think Dalton Brooks is an NFL player. You got to figure out that other safety position. But again, remember, guys like Marcus Ratcliffe, Miles Davis. These are young guys. From Marcus Ratcliffe, he jumped up in competition from San Diego State to A&M. Give these guys another year to cook and add a couple guys to raise the floor. I think you did exactly what you had to do in the DB room. Now, D-line still needs some work. I would say one or two more Onyedims. If you could find some guy with extreme bulk and girth, that would be great too. Those are hard to come by, man. I mean, you look at a guy like Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy. He got picked up by South Carolina, and he wasn't even playing for A&M. You look at a guy like Malik Silla. He couldn't play for A&M. He just got picked up by Mississippi State. So these are hot commodities, man. You can really probably find a guy and add him, but who knows what kind of quality you add. I like the strategic approach, the very precision approach that A&M has taken in this portal class so far. It really feels like all of these guys are exact role fillers with tremendous upside. You didn't add a lot of just filler to this class. Everything was precise. And of course, I mean, the receiver core speaks directly to that. Mario Craver, Micah Hudson, Casey Concepcion, those could be your three starting receivers day one, and you throw Terry Bussey in there too. I mean, you added exactly what you needed there. Jacob Zeno, the exact kind of experienced backup you would ask for. So what else needs to be done? Like I said, strong side DN, defensive tackle, and then maybe a couple pieces here or there. Maybe a tight end, maybe another DB. Those are directions I could see them going. But you have to be patient. Not a lot available right now. I would like to hear your wish list, guys. What else do you want to see? Do you want to see another D end? Do you want to see another safety? Tell me what you guys want to see. Appreciate you watching this. I'll see you at the watch party, 8 o'clock Wednesday night, and then again 6:30 Thursday. Gig 'em.